you're thinking about moving to Utah, there's a good chance you have come across both Sandy and Salt Lake City. And to be more specific, there's a particular suburb near downtown Salt Lake City called Sugarhouse. And on the surface, they both make a lot of sense. They're both really well-known areas. They both have very strong name recognition, and they give you access to the entire Salt Lake Valley. And depending on who you ask, you'll find people who swear each one is a better place to live. But here's the problem. Sandy and Sugarhouse are not even close to the same lifestyle. And if you're relocating from out of state, this is one of those comparisons that can get confusing fast because the better choice is not obvious just from looking at homes online. So in this video, I want to break down Sandy versus Sugarhouse from the perspective of someone actually trying to live here. And I chose these two suburbs in particular because they pull in complete opposite directions, yet are some of the most popular areas to live. We're going to talk about the location, the housing differences, the commute time, the differences in lifestyle, the cost trade-offs, who each area is really for, and the biggest mistake buyers make when comparing these two places. And by the end of this video, you should have a much clearer idea of whether you're more of a Sandy person or more of a Sugarhouse person. So let's start with the basic differences. Sugarhouse is one of those recognizable neighborhoods in Salt Lake City. It usually has older homes, more character, tons of local restaurants, more walkability in certain pockets, and a more urban feel than most Salt Lake suburbs. Now, Sandy is arguably the complete opposite. Sandy is larger, more suburban, more practical, and in a lot of ways easier for your everyday life. You're not moving to Sandy because it's the trendiest neighborhood in the valley. You're moving to Sandy because it gives you more yard space, it gives you better mountain access, great school district, and a very functional family-oriented lifestyle. Here is the cleanest way to look at it. Sugarhouse has more personality, Sandy has more function. And depending on your stage of life, your commute, your budget, and how you actually spend your time, either one could be a great choice, but they're not interchangeable. That is where buyers often get themselves in trouble. A lot of people moving here will fly in for a weekend, spend some time around Sugarhouse, maybe grab some food, drive around, see some older homes, see the tree-lined streets and think, this feels like Salt Lake City. And honestly, I get it, Sugarhouse does have a lot of appeal. But then those same buyers start looking at the actual homes and the lot sizes and the parking and the remodel work that might be needed, the price per square foot, and the reality of living in an older urban neighborhood, and suddenly the conversation changes. Then they drive down to areas like Sandy, Draper, Cottonwood Heights, and they realize that they can often get a more practical home, better garage space, easier shopping, more suburban comfort, and better access to the canyons. But Sandy may not give them the same character or walkable feel. So the question is not which area is better, the question is which trade-off are you willing to live with? Now let's talk about location because this is where the comparison really starts to separate. Sugarhouse sits much closer to downtown Salt Lake City. So if you work downtown or maybe University of Utah or near the hospitals or really anywhere on the east side, Sugarhouse can be extremely convenient. You're close to the city, you're close to amazing restaurants. Some of my favorite all-time restaurants are in Sugarhouse. You're close to the University of Utah, you're close to Liberty Park, 9th and 9th, downtown, the avenues, these really trendy locations, and a lot of the older, more established parts of Salt Lake. That is one of the biggest reasons people like it. You feel really connected to the city and you're not way out on the edge of the valley. You're not driving 30 or 45 minutes just to get to the core of Salt Lake. And for some people who want that more central lifestyle, Sugarhouse has a very clear advantage. Now, Sandy, on the other hand, sits much further south in the valley, and that changes the lifestyle completely. You're still in Salt Lake County, but you're much closer to a more suburban lifestyle. You're closer to Little Cottonwood Canyon, Big Cottonwood Canyon, and places like Draper and Cottonwood Heights and the southern end of the valley. You're also better positioned if your life pulls you toward Lehigh or Utah County. So if you work downtown every day, Sugarhouse would be an easier commute. If you work remotely or on the southern end of the valley, or you split time between Salt Lake and Utah County, Sandy may make more sense. That's why the commute question has to sort of come up early. Too many buyers start with a house first and then they figure out the commute later, but that's sort of backwards. The commute can completely change how you feel about where you live. A home in Sandy may look better on paper, but if your life is centered around downtown Salt Lake or say the university, then that extra drive may start to bother you. A home in Sugarhouse may feel more exciting, but if your kids' activities and work and shopping and your weekend routine are all pulling you south, you may eventually wonder why you paid a premium to be there. So this is the part that people sort of miss. You're not just buying a home, you're buying into your weekly routine. And Sandy and Sugarhouse create very different routines. Now let's talk about housing because this is probably the biggest difference between these two. I'm gonna transition onto my computer and show you exactly how these two locations differ. So here is a zoomed out map of Salt Lake City. Of course, in the northeast corner is downtown Salt Lake City. And when I talk about Sugarhouse specifically, you can even see it pop up on here on the map. You're sort of just north of I-80 that takes you out to Park City. The Sugarhouse Park is a great landmark that's sort of right in the middle. And if you look at the cross streets, you have 700 East, Most people would argue that's kind of the distinction between Sugarhouse and Liberty Wells. And if you go a little bit too far north, then you start getting into like 𝐂𝐎𝐻𝐿 and so forth. So I'll kind of draw a box that shows you roughly what Sugarhouse would be considered, which is really the boundary of the highway all the way up to about Parley's and 700 East to the west. This is approximately what Sugarhouse looks like. Now, you'll see some homes that immediately popped up that are for sale. Keep in mind, I filtered this down a little bit to just single family homes between like 500 and 900,000, and even 900,000 actually eliminated a ton of options here because Sugarhouse can be a more expensive place. But really just to kind of show you roughly what you can find between that $600,000 to $800,000 range. What's also really cool is you're very close to several parks. So you have the Salt Lake Country Club, which is a very exclusive country club. Anytime you can live near a country club, obviously values can get up there. But you'll notice that you're just a short drive up to University of Utah or to downtown Salt Lake City proper. Now on the flip side, if I zoom out, you can see that Sandy's all the way down here in the southeast corner. Now, both of them are east of I-15, and for a lot of people, they want to live on the east side. What they're saying is they want to live east of the freeway. Homes in general tend to be more expensive on the east side, and in fact, the further east that you live and the closer to the Wasatch Mountains that you live, typically, in general, the homes get more expensive and more exclusive. Now, if I scroll in here down in Sandy, the boundary of Sandy is a little bit weird. There's actually multiple zip codes for Sandy. Some are more expensive than others, and if I were to draw a map of Sandy, this is kind of the boundary between Sandy and Cottonwood Heights. It comes all the way sort of down here, and then this is roughly the boundary of Draper, give or take, all the way up to the freeway. But you can't go too far north because then it gets into areas like Midvale. So this is approximately Sandy. What's interesting is the diversity of homes in Sandy. First of all, you can see a ton were listed even with that filter that I put on there. But you have some areas that are way more affordable. They would be, typically west of 1300. So this is a major road, 1300 East, that runs north and south. In fact, it takes you pretty much all the way downtown. So all these homes on sort of the west side of 1300 tend to be a little bit more affordable, a little bit more first-time home buyers or investors, things like that. If you go east of 13th, that's when you see a pretty noticeable price jump in house prices. And in particular, if you get really far east in sort of this area, or if you've ever heard of Pepperwood, that is a sort of master plan, one of the few gated communities where the average price point is like $2 million. So you have a lot of price variability when it comes to real estate in Sandy, where you have some of the more less expensive homes all the way up to these like mega mansions. I mean, there's homes up here in like the Seven Springs area that are literally like 14,000 square feet, multi-million-dollar home. And that's kind of a breakdown in the overall geography. Now, of course, Sandy, you're much closer to Little Cottonwood Canyon that takes you up to Snowbird and Alta. You're really close to Big Cottonwood Canyon as well, but you still have pretty decent freeway access to I-15 and the 215 belt route. So if you need to go north downtown, you still have pretty easy freeway access. Or if you happen to work in Lehi, you can hop on the freeway and come down there. So it has kind of a good central area between downtown Salt Lake City and places like Lehi. Now, in general, Sugarhouse is known for older homes. That's part of the charm. You'll find more bungalows and cottages or Tudor style homes, older brick homes, and sometimes homes that just need additions or remodels. For the right buyer, that is exactly the appeal. They don't want a brand new subdivision, and they don't want every house to look the same. They want an older neighborhood with trees and sidewalks and personality, and really homes that feel different from one another. But that charm comes with trade-offs. Older homes can mean older plumbing and electrical, smaller bedrooms, tighter garages, or no garage at all. In fact, a lot of Sugarhouse homes don't even have a garage or a carport. You might find a home that looks incredible online, but when you get inside, you realize that the primary bedroom is super tiny. It doesn't have an ensuite or attached bathroom. The closet space is non-existent, and the basement ceiling is super low, or it's not even livable. That is basically Sugarhouse. In fact, when I show homes in Sugarhouse, sometimes I hit my head showing basements because the ceiling is so low and I'm 6'4". Sandy, on the other hand, gives you a wider range of housing. There are older parts of Sandy, especially closer to the middle and the east side of the city, where you'll find mature neighborhoods and brick ramblers, oftentimes split level homes or homes built in the 70s and 80s. But Sandy also gives you more traditional suburban layouts. You have larger lots in certain pockets or bigger garages like a 3-car garage, more practical floor plans, and oftentimes in the higher end areas, you're gonna move really, really close to the East Bench. That is one reason Sandy can be a better fit for families. Not because every home is perfect, but because the housing stock often works better for your everyday life. You're more likely to find more garage space, a bigger yard, and oftentimes multiple guest bedrooms. Not to mention the school access and the overall school rankings in the Canyon School District. Sugarhouse often gives you character, whereas Sandy often gives you more usability. And that's one of the biggest decision points to compare. Do you want a home that feels more unique and connected to the city, or do you want a home that makes your life easier Monday through Friday? This leads into the next conversation about the financial side. Sugarhouse can be quite expensive for what you're physically getting. You may pay a premium because of the location and the name recognition and the access to downtown Salt Lake, but that does not always mean that you're getting more house. A lot of buyers coming from out of state are really surprised at just how small Sugarhouse homes can feel. They see the price and they expect something much larger or newer or more updated. Then they realize that in Sugarhouse, you might be paying more for location and character than you are for square footage. Sandy can also be expensive, especially on the East Bench areas or in nicer pockets that are closer to the canyons. But in general, Sandy is going to give you more variety. You can find more traditional suburban homes and more variety in the home prices. You can still find things in the $400,000 and $500,000s all the way up to the multi-million-dollar neighborhoods. All right, now let's talk about the lifestyle differences, because this is really where things get different. Sugarhouse feels more local. It has a lot more of that older Salt Lake personality because you have restaurants and local coffee shops and parks and local businesses where you can quite literally walk around and feel like you're in an actual neighborhood instead of just a suburban area. Whereas Sandy is more practical. Yes, you do still have a lot of shopping options. You have easy access to grocery stores and some big box retail and restaurants, but it is not as charming, so to speak, as Sugarhouse. I don't think anyone would argue that Sandy has the same character in the same way, but Sandy is very easy to live in, and that's a really big difference. You may not walk out of your front door into a trendy local restaurant depending on where you live, but your day-to-day errands are probably going to be easier. Parking is definitely going to be easier. Getting around can oftentimes be easier because you're not going through multiple intersections to drive from the east side to the west side. And if you have kids that are involved in sports or school activities and more of a normal suburban routine, Sandy can just make a lot of sense. So if you're relocating in Utah and if you want help narrowing this down before you fly out and you start touring homes or waste time in areas that are not a good fit, reach out to us. My contact info is below. You can call, text, email anytime, and we can help you figure out which areas actually make more sense based on your budget, your commute to work, your lifestyle, and what you're trying to avoid. All right, let's talk about who should actually live in Sugarhouse versus who should live in Sandy. Sugarhouse is probably the better fit if you want to be closer to the city and you're willing to give up some space to get that. If you want an older home with character and you like more local business variety and you want to be closer to University of Utah or downtown, or you want to go to jazz games all the time, then it definitely makes more sense. If you're coming from a bigger metro area or you like the downtown feel, but you still want a little bit of that suburban mix, then Sugarhouse can be a fantastic location. One of the reasons why it's so popular is because you still have access to parks and local restaurants. Now, Utah has an overall reputation of being a little bit more right-leaning and conservative, but Salt Lake City proper, just like many metros around the country, tend to be a little bit more left-leaning or progressive compared to the surrounding suburbs. Now, that's just a fact. That's not necessarily a political statement that I'm trying to make, but it's also a reason why Sugarhouse is popular for a lot of people moving from other cities. Now, Sandy is oftentimes a better fit in a more practical sense. So if you have a lot of kids or you value a high-ranking school district or you want really close access to the canyons, it can definitely be a better fit. Now, if you want to take a step back, the Sandy versus Sugarhouse comparison is a little bit specific, but if you zoom out a little bit, those two suburbs represent two very important things happening in Utah. You have the traditional sort of what Utah has been known for many years, why a lot of people continue to want to live here, why their kids never leave and they continue living in the Salt Lake City area. And then you have people moving here from out of state that are maybe coming from other large metro areas, but they want the outdoor access and they like the overall climate of Utah. Both can exist equally in the same area. That's really the point of this video. Utah is not a one size fits all. It's definitely becoming more diverse. The population is increasing. So if you're thinking about moving to Utah, don't disqualify the entire state just based on what it used to be like 50 years ago. Or don't disqualify it just based on one specific area. There's enough variety in different suburbs in and around the Salt Lake City area that there's really a great spot for anyone. So if you want help figuring this out, reach out to me and my team. My contact info is below. I'll see you in the next video.